Right now, somewhere, someone is swiping left based on a jawline, a photo, 4 seconds of judgment. But for 99% of human history, choosing a partner had nothing to do with a profile picture. It had almost nothing to do with attraction the way you think about it. It was slower, stranger, and honestly, way more calculated than anything happening on a dating app tonight. So, how did our ancestors actually pick who they'd spend their life with? The answer starts with a smell, literally. In the 1990s, a Swiss biologist named Klaus Wedekind ran an experiment that's now famous in evolutionary biology. He had women smell t-shirts worn by different men for 2 nights straight. No deodorant, no cologne, just raw human scent. Then he asked them to rank which smells they found most attractive. The results weren't random. Women consistently preferred the scent of men whose immune system genes, called MHC genes, were most different from their own. Their noses were doing genetic screening without anyone realizing it. Pairing with someone genetically different meant offspring with stronger, more diverse immune defenses. Scientists now believe this instinct is ancient, and it likely shaped mate choice for tens of thousands of years before anyone had a word for genetics.
But smell was only the first filter, because once you got past that, ancient humans were running an entirely different calculation than we do today: survival math. Here's the thing nobody tells you about early human relationships. Romantic love, the butterflies, the obsession, the can't eat, can't sleep feeling, that almost certainly existed. Anthropologists have found evidence of passionate attachment in nearly every culture ever studied. But love alone didn't decide who you ended up with. Cooperation did. A hunter-gatherer band survives on roughly 20 to 50 people. Everyone has a role. Everyone's labor matters. Choosing a partner wasn't just about who made your heart race. It was about who could help you keep a fire going, track an animal for 3 days, or nurse a sick child back to health while you were away. Anthropologist Helen Fisher, who spent decades studying the biology of love, argued that early humans likely practiced something she called serial pair bonding, forming a strong attachment, staying together long enough to raise a child through its most vulnerable years, then sometimes moving on. Not because love wasn't real, because survival required flexibility.
And here's where it gets interesting. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups like the Hadza of Tanzania have found that partner selection often happened gradually, almost like a trial period built into daily life. Young men and women would work alongside each other, hunting, gathering, cooking, for months or even years before anything was formalized. There was no wedding day where two strangers met for the first time. Compatibility was tested in real time, through labor, through crisis, through boredom, through everything a relationship actually requires. Contrast that with what many people assume about ancient pairings, arranged unions decided entirely by parents or elders. That did happen, especially later once agriculture created wealth, land, and inheritance worth protecting. But in most early hunter-gatherer societies, anthropologists believe individual choice played a much bigger role than we assume. You weren't handed a spouse. You earned trust with one, slowly, in front of the entire group, because everyone would see how you treated them. Then, there's a piece of this most people have never heard: the Westermarck effect. In the late 1800s, Finnish anthropologist Edward Westermarck proposed that humans develop a natural sexual aversion to people they were raised closely with in early childhood, regardless of actual bloodline. This wasn't a moral rule. It was psychological wiring. Modern studies on Israeli kibbutzim, where unrelated children were raised together like siblings, confirmed it. Those children almost never became romantically involved as adults, even though nothing biological prevented it. Evolution built in a natural incest avoidance mechanism, and it likely shaped who ancient bands considered acceptable partners long before anyone understood why. This meant something huge for early human groups. You typically couldn't just marry the person next to you at the fire. Many hunter-gatherer societies developed systems of exogamy, deliberately seeking partners from neighboring bands. This wasn't romantic, it was strategic. It created alliances between groups, expanded trade networks, and most importantly, it kept the gene pool healthy. A relationship wasn't just two people, it was two entire communities quietly merging resources and protection. And children changed everything about the equation. Human babies are famously helpless, unable to survive without years of intensive care. Anthropologists call this the cooperative breeding hypothesis. Raising a child required more than two parents. It required grandparents, aunts, uncles, and unrelated group members pitching in, what researchers call alloparents. So choosing a partner wasn't just choosing who you loved, it was choosing someone whose entire family and social network you could survive alongside for the next 15 years. So, when you strip it all down, humans were making decisions that mixed instinct, strategy, and emotion into something far more sophisticated than we usually give them credit for. Their noses screened for genetic compatibility, their minds craved emotional connection, their communities demanded cooperation, and their evolutionary programming quietly steered them away from anyone too familiar and toward alliances that expanded the tribe. We didn't invent finding love. We just forgot how instinctive it always was.